Welcome to our third and final installment in this mini-retreat, Practicing Welcome. This section is titled Receiving Welcome. In previous sections, we discussed the practice of offering welcome and used the character of the innkeeper in the Good Samaritan parable, along with all the other characters in my own embellished version of that story, to look at the opportunities and challenges we face in welcoming people and the different stories and needs they bring. In the second section, we used Rumi's poem, The Guest House, to look at the practice of welcoming ourselves. We must be able to welcome ourselves in order to be able to welcome others. We looked at the different images in the Rumi poem, as well as what parts of us were like the different characters who stayed in the inn in the Good Samaritan parable. And now we change our focus from extending welcome to receiving welcome. Of our three areas of practicing welcome, I think for many people, the practice of receiving welcome can be the most difficult. While the saying goes, it is better to give than receive, I think it is often easier to give than to receive. I sometimes see this displayed in our guests here at the Hermitage. It isn't uncommon for a guest to come find me shortly after their arrival, looking for an opportunity to volunteer or help out during their retreat. While I appreciate their helpfulness and know that simple manual work can often help us center down and enter into a more contemplative spirit, I often feel like these requests come as an avoidance of just being still. The idea of doing something can feel much more comfortable than just sitting there. This offer can also come from a sense of obligation, that it is wrong to just do nothing while others are cleaning and cooking, etc. In response to this desire to help out, I express appreciation for their offer and let them know that they are not expected or required to help. And if they feel some work would be a helpful part of their retreat, I would find some work for them. A sense of shame and embarrassment can come over us when we are in a place where others serve us, and we cannot offer anything in return. This can happen when someone is sick and bedridden, and others come to clean their house and prepare their food. It can be very hard to receive this kind of care. And this can also happen in a retreat center. This desire to be helpful during their retreat time reminds me of the disciples feeling offended at the pouring out of extravagant, expensive oil on Jesus' feet, when the value of that oil could be put to much more helpful use. Why would I just sit around reading, napping, or walking in the woods when I could be much more useful and mow their grass? What have you felt challenged to simply receive another's welcome? When have you noticed your own need to be helpful get in the way of someone else's hospitality directed towards you? I firmly believe that receiving welcome, particularly receiving God's welcoming love, is our most necessary task. We confess a God who is endlessly abundant in love and generosity, and God's primary desire for us is to notice God, to turn our faces towards God, and to simply receive God's welcoming love. That is enough. We do not need to help God. It is when we acknowledge and receive God's welcome that we can in turn extend this welcome to ourselves and others, which is God's welcome, not ours. When we talked about welcoming others, we spoke of it as an act of both vulnerability and control. And the same is true for receiving welcome. In fact, when authentic welcome is offered and received, the roles of host and guest become fluid. The giving and receiving becomes mutual. This too should characterize our relationship with God, one of mutual self-giving and receiving. Receiving welcome requires that we open ourselves and listen to the one welcoming us, and to our own inner thoughts and emotions. Receiving welcome can shift the power to the one who welcomes us. It requires a letting go of a need to be in charge or in control. I wonder, with the characters of my embellished parable, the angry priest, the ashamed Levite, the overachieving Samaritan, and the wounded traveler, which one of them was most comfortable to receive the welcoming hospitality of the innkeeper? I would like to think, in a small way, each character is able to change, to let go, and receive some of the innkeeper's welcome. Likewise, I would hope that what each character represents as parts of ourselves would be able to receive God's welcome. Our angry self, our ashamed self, our wounded self, our overworked self, are all welcomed by God. Thank you for participating in this Practicing Welcome retreat. I hope that some small part of it captured your attention and nurtures your own life of practicing welcome. Feel free to leave a comment on our website blog with any comments of your own reflections. Blessings.